And it's showtime. Hey, welcome back to another Unbridled Living in Costa Rica podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about what are the benefits. Are there benefits of hiring locals in Costa Rica to do work for you? How much does it cost? How much should you actually be paying them? That's a huge mistake a lot of people make. We'll talk about that. But hey, are there benefits? Well, I guess the real question is, what are the dangers of hiring locals in Costa Rica? What can you do to protect yourself so that you can enjoy the benefits and avoid the dangers? But first, before we get started, hey, this is your first time here. I'm Alan. And Rebecca and I have been here since November 2013. You're like, Rebecca, where's she at? Well,
I'm here. Don't show me. Don't show me. I'm in my robe.
Hey, yeah, look, she's in her robe. She's been in her pajamas all day. Well, actually, it's pretty chilly up here, and it's tax season. And, most of you folks don't know it, but she's an accountant. She works online. Come around tax season, man. She is getting it and going. She is busy all the time, And so she's like, baby, can I like not come today? I got so much work to do. So anyway, she's catching up on work. But today we are going to be talking about, like I said, hiring locals. And that's something that's my specialty. She watches me do it, but she's not an intricate part of that. But she has seen and experience the dangers of hiring the locals. So, like I was saying, backing up a little bit, hey, I'm Alan. Rebecca and I have been in Costa Rica since November 2013. We've been all over Costa Rica, lived in 25 different places and locations, and on purpose, trying to learn and just really enjoy all of the culture of Costa Rica. And we just love sharing that information with you. Matter of fact, we are the only channel in Costa Rica that is giving you this information with no ulterior motive. In other words, we're not trying to con you, trying to sell you Costa Rica so you can buy more of my products and services. Oh, by the way, did you know we help people move to Costa Rica? No, we don't do any of that. So the question you should be asking yourself is, well, then why do you take time to do this? I don't know. I'm kind of like an alcoholic. An alcoholic drinks because it makes him feel good. I feel good helping people. I enjoy helping people. And why is that? Well, I've been conned by those people, who tried to sell you Costa Rica so you can buy more of their product and services. I've been conned. Matter of fact, I hate to tell this story. My solar guy, who I thought was a good guy, conned me. Found out this week. I'm going to be sharing more of that story. So if you're looking for a solar system, DC Solar, we're talking about Caesar. Stay away from Caesar. He's a crook. Okay. So I'll be telling more about that story. But anyway, this is the only channel that's giving you the unbridled living in Costa Rica facts. So the truth is, hey, I don't want to con you into come into Costa Rica, but if you come into Costa Rica, I definitely want you to know the facts. But first, hey, what's been happening on the off-grid homestead? Man, we have been super busy. Really wished I had a video for you today. My plan was to have a video showing you all the stuff that's been happening, but Rebecca, she has been whipping that whip. Look, today I was building steps because, man, we moved. You guys remember that humongous boulder that was in front of the house? We moved it. Next week, I promise, next week, I'm going to show you a video on how we moved that boulder. Oh, I ain't no telling how much that boulder weighed, but we moved it. Anyway, I had to put up steps so we can get out of the front of the house. So anyway, lots of stuff's been happening. We've been getting a lot of stuff done. So, hey, welcome, folks. I'm so glad to see you. I love to see all these regulars. We got Eduardo, Doug, we got Shannon, Doug Delio. I just love seeing all these. We got a bunch of folks here. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're coming from. And folks, look, you really just have no idea how important it is for you. Comment, be engaging, shout out. Let me know where you're from. Man, even if you just put a couple of emojis up there, you know, it makes a huge difference, because a great way to support this channel is by being engaging, by, you know, commenting. Hey, I just love it. I mean, take a look at Tess, you know, she's like, okay, I'll help out. And Tess is like, hey, I'm from the United States. I'm glad you're somewhere in the United States. You know, like Shannon, hey, Alan, good to see you. Hope you had a great week. Good week. Hey, just like Doug Dilio, hoorah! Doug is a fellow devil dog. Now, you know what's interesting about Doug? I love Doug because Doug is in Costa Rica. He's got him a Tica wife. He goes back and forth. Santa Lucia, 7 kilometers from La Fortuna. Lots of great stuff. You know, check out, you know, Orly. I can't pronounce the last name, but from Miami, and Eduardo's in Florida, I think. But hey, maybe talking about, and then Randy, I love Randy. Randy's in our members only area. And man, that dude is coming to Costa Rica. He just got to finish up some things there. But lots of great stuff going on. So, hey, so let's get on it. We are talking about the pros and cons of hiring locals in Costa Rica. What are the benefits? Most importantly, what are the dangers? Okay. So, hey, I'll make you a deal. I'm going to tell you all of the good news, the pros and cons about it. You make me a deal. You be engaging. I promise you I'm going to try to answer all your questions within this hour. And promise me that you're going to put in comments after the live is over. It really boosts, it really helps, because the algorithm says that you enjoyed the video, you found value in it. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share. It really helps a whole lot. Really, really greatly appreciate it. Marfrino, probably pronounced that wrong. Forgive me. Hello, everyone from Alberta, Canada. Glad to see you all here. So, hey, we are talking about hiring people. Now, no lie here. You got to be very, very careful when it comes to hiring people. Hey, man, look, got a shout out here, Mike. I hadn't seen Mike and Gloria in a long time. Mike and Gloria have been great supporters of our channel for a long, long time in the members area. Gloria, oh, she comes by. She always is like, hey, Alan, I'm coming over. Do you need anything? Man, she has brought me stuff down here. I just love that relationship. A snowy 10 degrees in Colorado. Ow! I need some hair. It's too cold for that around here. So, hey. So, look, let's talk about content. And I'm kind of going to break it down a little bit for you. So, you know, as you guys know, I do a lot of stuff myself. And I love to work. Call me crazy, but man, I love to get my hands dirty. I love to get out there. And, you know, we've been here for 3 years, and most of this stuff I've done by myself. Rebecca's always working, and while she does try to help when she can, she's not a guy. She can't get dirty, you know. And so it's like, you know, when you're by yourself, it's like, hey, I need a third hand. It's like, hey, Rebecca, can you give me a hand? And when she got a second, she'll come hold something while I'm welding it, or, you know, she helps me as much as she can, right? But if it comes to digging ditches, you can forget that. She ain't digging no ditches. She ain't cutting no grass. She's on the computer doing her accounting. She's doing numbers. But there's times when you got to have some help. Now, being as remote as I am, it is tough to find help where I'm at. But you can find help just about almost anywhere in Costa Rica. Now, you might have to go in when you see someone, tell them, hey, look, I need some help. Do you want to work? And someone will. The problem is finding good workers. Now, the problem is you got to be careful. And I'm going to share some stories because I have hired a lot of help. But you can get bit. You can get bit in a hurry, okay? So, so let me take a look. Pamela Teal says, hey, Alan. Pamela, I'm so glad you are here. And Angela, 3 more years for her, and she is moving. Well, I got a lot of folks And Tess is like, don't forget, hit that like button. Absolutely. So, and you know what is really great about this community is like Shannon. Shannon's like, hey, if you ever need help with the project and you're going to need help, let me know. All I need is a day's notice. You know, that's what's great about a lot of the expats that's coming here. Hey, you come in here, you're retired, you want to kind of just chill. But you know what? You kind of bored out your mind and you're willing to help. That is awesome. And, you know, Eduardo it goes in and out. And he says, like, hey, getting good Ticos to help you, keeping them happy. Cerveza after work, they'll love you and call you Don Allen. Mr. Allen, you are right. Okay. So, hey, let's talk about it. All right. So, like I said, most of the time I do most of the stuff by myself because it's hard to get help. I'm really remote, but you can get help. Now, when Rebecca and I first came down here, we were didn't know any Spanish, and I work online, got several businesses online, and that's why I can do what I do. I love to share, and you know, a lot of people that come to Costa Rica, they start a YouTube channel and then they try to con you into, you know, all kind of stuff. I don't have to do that. I love sharing, and I started out just kind of documenting what we do. Okay, well, I'm kind of addicted to I like helping people. Anyway, when I first came down here, Buffering. All right. Well, I lost you for a moment there. Anyway, when I came down here, I thought, geez, look, everybody's selling property. I thought I'd just quickly build me a real estate website and I would become a realtor. So that's what I did. And man, I had a lot of people, but I found out that, man, you end up showing people all kind of stuff and you end up just wasting a ton of time. You end up being a free tour guide. And I was like, I ain't into that. Anyway, I ended up hiring this local Tico who spoke really good English. His name was Barian, okay? Now, I really thought Barian was a good guy, okay? Now, he really was a good guy, but here's the deal. I'm not saying this for everyone, okay? But when you hire most Ticos, you got to have somebody watching them. So in most cases, you can't hire a Tico and say, this is what we're going to do and let them get after it. Because while that might work for a little while, eventually they're going to take advantage of you. And I've talked with many people and shared with them. But, okay, so now look, no matter where you're at in Costa Rica, you're going to be like, well, look, I just want to hire somebody that's going to cut my grass. In other words, you got someone that's coming once every 2 weeks and he's got a great big weed eater and he's cutting the yard. No problem. No problem hiring somebody to come and do an oddball job once in a blue moon, okay? That's not a problem because you've got a lot of entrepreneurs in Costa Rica, whether they want to come do yard work, whether they want to come clean your house. Here's the problem. The danger of hiring a local is when you hire a local full time. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that, okay? When you hire someone that's going door to door and he's like, hey, I see you need your grass cut. Let me cut your grass. And he's coming to work once a week. He's an entrepreneur. He's working for himself. He is self-employed, okay? That's not a big issue, but you still got to be careful, okay? If you decide to hire a maid or a cook, let's say that you're an expat, and you know, let's face it, most expats have more disposable income than any of the Ticos. So if you're an expat and you're not independently wealthy, you're still richer than most Ticos. Most Ticos live anywhere between $600 to $1,000 a month. The Ticos that are like teachers, they're making about $2,000 a month. So teachers make good money. $2,000 a month is not good money in our book as far as the United States go. But for Ticos, a teacher's making good money, okay? Now, of course, we're not going to talk about government people and all that. They're making really good money, bankers, crazy money. But we're talking about just the average Tico, okay? Now, if you hire a Tico or Tico. So let's just say that you hire a Tico and he's going to take care of your grounds all the time. And he comes 2 or 3 days a week. He's taking care of your grounds. You hire a maid and she comes in every day. And not only does she clean every day, but she cooks for you. When you hire somebody working full time, and full time doesn't have to be, Nikki, full time doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. Okay. You got to be careful. Now, already tons of questions are coming in, and I'm going to be sure to answer them, because it's kind of like this guy saying cash or check to pay hired locals. There ain't no such thing as a check in Costa Rica. No such thing. Okay. You're going to pay always. You're going to pay cash, or you're going to do what's called simpe, or you're going to just transfer it to their account. But in order to do that, you got to have a bank account in Costa Rica. We'll go into all those details, okay? Jammer's like, hey, I got to find me a Tica teacher. That's called a maestra, okay? A maestro is a teacher. A maestra is a Tica, okay? And it's kind of hard to find. Anyway, I will talk about all of those things and answer all of those questions. Now, when you hire somebody full-time, I don't care if it's full-time for 20 hours a week, 40 hours a week. You hire somebody full-time, somebody that's coming on a regular basis. In other words, somebody other than, okay, we got someone that's cutting the grass once every 2 weeks or once a week, a maid that comes in once a week. Okay, that's very minimal. You get somebody coming in here 2 or 3 days a week, that's full-time, okay? When that happens, you are required by law to pay their caja. What is the caja? The caja is their health insurance, okay? Their health insurance is what you got to pay every month to the government for their caja in case they get sick, in case an accident happens, okay? That's the danger. Now, there's a whole lot of expats. They just don't know any better. Maybe they do know better, but they just, I'm not paying your caja. This is what we're doing. I'm going to pay you cash under the table. Come on, we know that happens everywhere. I'm going to pay you under the table, okay? Well, they're going to agree to it because they want the money. But what happens when he falls and hurt himself? What happens when he's out in your yard and he's cutting with a machete and he cuts himself? What happens when a mosquito bites him and he gets pneumonia and he's got to go to the hospital? What happens? If you don't pay for it, he's going to file a complaint, and then the government, he's going to tell the government he's working for you. The government's going to come back to you and say, so-and-so, Barion's been working for you, and he filed a complaint. He's been working for you for 6 months. You haven't been paying his caja. Well, it's your word against his. And guess what? He's a Tico. You're an expat. Who do you think the government's going to believe? They're going to believe him. And so what they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, Barion, how long have you been working for Alan? I've been working for him for 6 months, and I come 3 days a week, and I work 8 hours, and he don't pay my caja, and I thought he was. The government's going to say 6 months times whatever his caja is, then the government's going to charge you, and you're going to have to pay that caja in order to rectify the situation, okay? So it's extremely, extremely important to understand that danger, okay? Real quick shout out. I want a quick shout out to Uncle Tico. Uncle Tico, thank you so much. You know, you can support this channel in many, many, many ways. I always like to say thank you for all those people that are members of our members-only community. But Uncle Chico loves to come on and learn, and he shows his appreciation by hitting that $sign on the YouTube channel. And you can give as much as you want, whether it's $1, $20, $100, $1 million. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much, Uncle Chico. Glad to see you here. Okay. It's true. Jammer Travel says women are pretty much the same in most countries. It's money, 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 gimme, gimme, gimme. And that's true. And look, you have to understand that in Costa Rica, you got to understand it's the culture. Okay. And I can't blame them in part of it. Okay. As gringos, we have a whole lot more money than Ticos. They want a piece of the pie. Unfortunately, they want all of the pie. Okay. So you got to be very, very careful. Now, I don't mean this in a bad way at all. Okay. There are ways that you can protect yourself when hiring locals. Unfortunately, I'm being 100% honest here. I cannot say this on YouTube. I really can't. So in my members only area, and not in the one that I have right now, I'm building a new members only area. I'm going to actually put in a course there that says, hey, if you're hiring somebody just once a week, this is what you should do. If you're hiring somebody full-time, this is what you should do. Hey, if you got someone full-time legally, this is what you should do. I'm going to be putting that stuff in the members only area. It will be a free course for you since you're a member. And hey, being a member is only $10 a month. But hey, don't join now. Don't join now. Wait. Within a few weeks, I hope I have the new members area ready. And I want to give you that information. Unfortunately, if I say that kind of information on YouTube, you get slapped. And Costa Rica doesn't want me to tell you the workarounds, but you do need to know how to protect yourself. Hey, I'm not telling anybody to do anything illegal. You do need to know how to protect yourself so that when you hire people, because look, I want to share a story with you. I hired people, and when you do it right, wow, man. So let's get into that. So most of the time, I don't hire a lot of people. It's just hard to find people as remote as I am. So last week, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I hired a couple of guys. Okay. Now, I hired a couple of guys. They worked for a solid week. Okay. Man, let me tell you the stuff we got done. Okay. Now, I love working. I'm just a workaholic. Okay. But, man, some stuff, even I know I'm Superman, but I can't do it all by myself. Okay. So, I had a whole list of things I needed to get done. So I needed to put in a septic system, a right septic system. Okay. So I was going to put in a good septic system, which means I was going to put in 3 septic tanks, which means a gigantic hole. And I don't have a backhoe or anything up here. And I'm way too far remote to hire a backhoe to come in here. So I needed to hire help to dig a gigantic hole to put in this septic system, along with the line to put in the pipe that goes to the septic tank and a fill line. Okay. So I needed that. Well, hey, you guys remember I did a couple of videos showing you that massive, massive, massive boulder that was in front of the house. Okay. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Here's in front of the house here. And right now you would be able to see a massive, let's see here if I can show you. There used to be a massive boulder right here. Okay. Well, that boulder's gone. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it's gone. And I'll tell you more about it later. But I just got through today building up some new steps to come into the house. Okay. So massive boulder. Man, I mean, this boulder was probably 3 or 4 ton boulder, but we got to move that boulder. There was no way we could break it up. So I needed to move that boulder. And because I was so busy trying to get into this house, the grass was turning into a jungle. And so I had a lot of work done. Okay. Long story short, I hired these guys to come work, but they were 2 hours away. There's nobody up here. So I had to go pick them up and bring them over here. Well, guess what? If I bring them over here and I needed them for a week, I needed a place for them to stay. So my neighbor, he has a few tourists that come in and out, and he's got some little cabins. So he let me use one of his cabins. Now, my neighbor and I, we've got some great relationships. So look, when I say stuff, I'm not talking bad about the Ticos. I'm just giving you facts. My neighbor and I, we have a great relationship. I help him out a whole lot. He helps me out a whole lot. Okay. And so he let me borrow or use one of his cabins, and I put these 2 guys in there. Now, spoiler alert. Did I hire Ticos or some other locals? Okay. I've hired a lot of Ticos, and kind of like this. in the United States, in Louisiana, no matter, well, really, in a lot of southern states in the United States, it got to be to where Americans didn't want to work. They were spoiled. And so a lot of Mexicans would come in, and these Mexicans, they like, hire me, I'll work. And these Mexicans would work their butt off, man. I mean, they would work, okay? Well, so a lot of Americans were losing jobs, and they were complaining. Well, why are you complaining? You don't want to work. I mean, you know, you'd have to be there with them all the time. Well, Mexicans came in and worked, so Mexicans was making some money, okay? It's kind of the same thing in Costa Rica. There's a lot of the younger generation, they don't want to work. Older generation understand the value of work. The younger generation, and that's everywhere in the world. I'm not just talking about Costa Rica. Younger generation, they want to do this. They want to play video games. They want to stay in their mom's basement, okay? Well, it's the truth is the same in Costa Rica. The younger generation don't want to work, okay? I've got a local guy here, try to hire him, try to pay him more than the normal pay. He just don't want to work. He's okay being broke, okay? And look, I grew up broke, okay? I understand. Well, who did I hire? I hired some local indigenous Indians. So Costa Rica has, just like the United States had a ton of Indians all over America. And then we came in and took their land and everything else and said, you can live here. Okay. Well, I know that's horrible, but the same thing happened in Costa Rica. There was a lot of indigenous Indians. Indigenous means they were here before we were. And so the Spaniards came in here. They took over Costa Rica, stole the land from the Indians, said, you got to live such and such or whatever, okay? And then it became the Ticos. Well, here's what you have to understand. Ticos hate indigenous people. They're just very, very racial. The Ticos believe they are a lot better than Indians. So anyway, I've hired a lot of Ticos, and there's been some good Ticos, but most Ticos are just don't want to work. You got to watch them, and you got to be right there. So I hired a couple of local indigenous Indians, 2 hours away, went and picked them up, brought them here. They didn't have a place to stay. They stayed in my neighbor's place. They stayed there for the whole week, which meant I got to feed them. So every morning I was cooking breakfast, lunch, and supper. And I made sure breakfast time, eat as much as you want. I had a huge breakfast. Lunchtime, we had a sandwich, good solid sandwich and chips, and but I didn't want them to get too full because they'd get tired. And at supper time, we had plenty of food to eat so they can eat as much as they want and just relax and then go back to their room. And we did that for a solid week. So I had to take care of them. I had to feed them all week because they were, I mean, come on, that's what in the United States we call that per diem. If you have to travel someone to work, the employer has to pay per diem. That's extra pay for being away from home. That's what I did here. I just took care of them. They came here for a week. I took care of them, and I paid them their salary. So what is the typical pay? In Costa Rica, when some of the locals hire an indigenous Indian, they get paid less. For me, I'm just not that way. I like to treat everybody the same. I don't care whether you're black, green, purple, red. I don't care what nationality you are. I don't care how many earrings and tattoos you have. I try to treat everybody the same. So I hired these indigenous, and the average, write this down, the average fee for a laborer is someone that's going to be cutting your grass, digging ditches, a maid that's cleaning your house. It's not a skill, okay? You don't have to have a skill. Now, if you're going to be a bona fide cook, that's a skill, okay? If you're going to be a bona fide welder, bona fide carpenter, that's a skill, okay? So, a laborer is somebody that's doing something. I absolutely agree. He says it's time for an Allen's apple juice. I need to get me an Allen's apple juice, but this is a white Russian. That's proof that I am not racist. I got a Russian and she's white. No, okay. I'm having too much fun. Anyway, back on topic. I saw that comment had to break. Okay. So write this down. The average price for a laborer is 1,500 colones. Now look, if you're going to pay somebody, pay them what the economy normally pays them. You got a lot of these entitled expats that hire people and then try to pay them a lot more than everybody else because I got money. They shouldn't be getting paid $3 an hour. I'm going to pay them $10 an hour. You're stupid. You're stupid. Okay. That's called gentrification. That's where you change the economy because you're stupid. Okay. And we'll talk about that in another video. And so how can you find out what is the right price? What is the going rate? Costa Rica has a website and I got a PDF and I'm going to try to remember as soon as this is over to put a link into the description so that you can download that PDF. Costa Rica has got a PDF and it just says, this is how much doctors get paid, maids get paid, laborers get paid, teachers get paid, all of this stuff. So the average price for laborers is 1,500 colones an hour, okay? That is $3 an hour, okay? Indigenous Indians get paid normally maybe $1,000 to $1,200 an hour, but I'm not going to treat them differently just because they're Indigenous Indians. I'll pay them what Costa Rica says that all of the labor for Ticos get paid, and I paid them 1,500 colones. So they are ecstatic that they're getting treated the same as anybody else. So at the end of the week, so let's break this down. At the end of the week, let me go to my notes because I'm going to go to my notes real quick here because I wrote down my notes. So hang on one second here. So I had these two Indigenous Indians, great people. They worked really, really hard. And they would come here every day at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, we'd eat breakfast. We would relax. I'd have coffee ready for them. I'd be cooking breakfast. We'd eat. At 8 o'clock, we'd start work. Okay. Typically, I had planned on not working until 4, but hey, they just kept on working and they worked until 5. And so we put in a good 9-hour day. So by the end of the week, because the first week we got started late. Anyway, by the end of the week, we put in a good, I want to say a little over 40 hours. Okay. So at 41 and a half hours at 1,500 colones, I paid them 62,000 colones each. Okay. So I had these two brothers. Man, they worked hard. So at 62,000 colones at the current exchange rate is about $120. Okay. $120 a piece. That's $240 to do all the work we did. That's digging a gigantic hole for 3 septic tanks, fill line, the lines. We dug this gigantic hole to move this massive boulder. I can't wait next week to show you the video. Cut all of the grass. We did a lot of stuff, okay? So after a whole week, now, I have to tell you, I paid $120 a person. That's $240. $100 in groceries. Of course, I had to cook all of this stuff every single day. And in between times, I'm helping them and supervising, okay? So, $240, $100 in groceries. That's $340. Maybe a little bit of miscellaneous cost. Let's just say tops $400 in labor. And we put in a whole septic system, okay? Now I'm not complete. They dug all the holes. All I got to do is connect all the lines, fill it all in, and be done, okay? So I'm almost done. Filling in the lines are easy. So if I would, in the United States, if I'd have hired somebody to come in and put in this septic system, they could have done it in a couple of days. They'd have brought in tractors and stuff, but it would have probably cost me $2,000 or $3,000, and I did all of this with local labor for under $400. Now, the danger. Where is the danger coming, Alan? If any one of them would have gotten hurt, let's say they were using a machete and cut himself. Let's say that he would have fell down, broke a finger, broke a leg. The danger is I better make sure that I take him to the hospital and pay for everything, okay? Oh, that could get expensive. Not in Costa Rica. even if they're not in the Caja system, in most cases, they're probably not because they're poor. They don't have a lot of money. They're not paying into the system. I could pay it out of pocket and it would have been a whole lot cheaper. So here's the important thing. Write this down. If you hire anybody in Costa Rica, if they get hurt, if they get sick, take them to the clinic, pay for everything. Document it, have them sign it. Let me repeat that. This is important. If they get sick, document it, have them sign it, you pay for everything. Why? I don't care. Oh, but Alan, you don't understand. The people that work, my neighbor, oh, they are the greatest people in the world. They would never do me wrong. I thought the same thing about Berrien. The dude had it made. I mean, look, the dude worked. He came in. I fed him. He had a place to live, paid for it all. You know what? It never fails. Not everybody. He took advantage of it. And before you knew it, instead of coming to work, he would stay at home with his mama and he would say he was working and he didn't. So, but look, I got to say this. I'm so glad Sarong says, even if they're not legal, they have full rights and they will win. Absolutely. Absolutely, Sarong. So even if they're not legal, if you are hiring them, they have rights and their rights will trump your rights. Make sure you document every single thing. So I remember Rebecca and I was house sitting a house over in Estorrillos, and this Canadian woman who owned the house, she had a groundskeeper, she had a housekeeper, and when we came to house sit for a couple of months, she said, look, when they come, you got to write this down. When you pay them, write it down, make them sign it, okay? Everything was documented, because if you don't document it, then what's going to happen is the moment they get mad at you, the moment they feel like it's not fair, they'll go to the Ministry of Labor. They will concoct a lie, and it don't matter whether it's true or not, because it's your word against theirs, and their word trumps. And then you're going to end up paying a whole lot, and you're going to have to buy them out to drop the charges. So always document. There's a whole lot more that I need to tell you, and I can't say, but I'm going to put this in the new members area, and it will be in a form of a free course so that you can watch it and you can say, okay, Alan said, make sure you do this in this scenario so that you will be protected from the dangers. Really, there are some dangers. It's just part of being in Costa Rica. But if you know what to do to protect yourself, it's not a problem, okay? And then you can really enjoy the benefits. I'm telling you, I had these two guys, Indian workers. They worked harder, and I didn't have to supervise every minute. Of course, I get in there, and I work with them, and they're watching me, and they're like, bam. And they see what I'm doing, and they just jump on it. I mean, I had these Indians toward the end of the week. You know, we were cutting the grass, and I put him on my lawnmower, push mower. And he's like, what is this? He ain't never used a push mower before, because in Costa Rica, they're using a weed eater to cut acres and acres and acres of grass. And I mean, so I'm teaching them. They're learning new skills. We're having a great time. But you must be very careful, and you must document everything so that in the event someone gets hurt, take care of them. Pay for everything. It's not going to be expensive. Okay. Take care of it. You know, so there's a lot of things that you must know. So we had a lot of fun. So I'm going to come through here and I'm going to look at some of the questions and comments and share with you, because Eduardo made a couple of comments that was really good. So, oh, you know, Sarong brought up a good point. I did learn this just toward Ticos also. Bosses will lose. So what Sarong is saying here is that Just because you're a gringo, it's worse on gringos, okay? But I got a really, really, really great friend. My best friend is a Tico, and he tells me all the time, he says, Alan, you got to be careful because he says, I put up with the crap you put up with. So a Tico that's hiring an employee, he's got more money than the average Tico. He better dot his I's and cross his T's. He's got to do everything right because if you're an employer, you got more money than the average Tico. And if you don't do it right, you're going to lose. So it's what Sarong is saying here. It's not just gringos. It happens to Ticos as well. Okay. Everything that we talk about on this channel, if you're an affluent Tico, you got to be very, very careful. Okay. Because the majority of the Ticos don't have a lot of money. That's the majority. But those that do have money that are hiring locals, you got to be very, very careful. So thanks for putting that in there, Sarong. Okay. Oh, great question. Randy says, how easy is it to fire an employee? Dude, it's not easy at all, okay? So my best friend, he owns a couple of restaurants. And he said, I can literally catch my employee stealing from me. I can't fire him. I have to give him a warning. And he's got to give him so many warnings and document it before he can actually fire him. And then when he does fire him, he's got to give him severance pay. That's why it's very, very important when I have the members only community, do exactly what I can tell you so that you won't get caught in this trap. Okay. Hey, Sarong puts this up. Weed eater. A lot. The majority of the indigenous Indians and Ticos are cutting grass with a machete. Wow, blows my mind. Those that have a little bit of money, because a weed eater, a good weed eater in Costa Rica is $1,000. You can buy you a, crazy and that's because they are cutting a lot of grass. So a lot of them are cutting it with a machete. You're absolutely right. Okay. Now it is important to understand, like Sarong is saying here, is that when you paying somebody, you're going to have to open up a Costa Rican bank account so that you can transfer money to their account, or so it is extremely important. Now sometimes it's difficult to open up a bank account in Costa Rica. If you need help with that, I can help you with that. It's not me, really. I don't do anything. But I love connecting you with the right people that can help you, because sometimes it's a challenge to open up a bank account. Okay. So, like Sarong was saying, I had an employee that was awesome. I thought it always happens that way. It happens a whole lot. And I learned that in the United States because I used to own a grocery store, and a lot of employees start off great. And then they get lackadaisical, or they get whatever. And then before you know it, they take advantage of you. You just have to be careful, okay?
Hey, you have a moment?
Uh-huh.
Can I tell a story about
Sure.
it? Well, I don't want to be on the camera.
All right. So, well, let me move it here. Put this over here so they can hear you. Okay. So Rebecca wants to share a story here.
So when we came in 2013, came with my baby, my dog. She was like a baby to me. Anyway, when we had to travel, we trusted Barian so much that I would let him watch my little dog Ginger, and had no reason to not trust him, but then found out later, after we let him go, that on the weekends he was taking my dog on the motorcycle with him back to his mom's house. And that was not good with me. I was very
Scared her to death.
Yeah, I mean, something could have happened. And she was an old dog. She was like 13 years old. And anyway, you can imagine that was so disappointing. And then we also found out that for our cat, that he had been gone for so long from the house, which we were paying him to watch the house and watch the animals. He was gone for a long enough period of time that our cat's collar, some kind of way she had gotten her arm through her collar, and it rubbed her raw, like made it actually cut into her skin and had an open cut. That's how, I don't know how long that was, but that had to have been several days for it to do that to her neck. So anyway, I never would have left my pets with somebody I didn't trust. So I'm just saying that's how much I trusted him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad she shared that story, because I was going to, she was talking about her dog, and I had this cat. I mean, come on, it's not hard. Just be there and watch the cat. And that's how I found out, that Marion was gone for so long instead of being there. And so, of course, like cats, they go out there and they get into a cat fight. And somehow she got her arm through there, and that collar was around here. And she was like that probably all week, and she had this humongous bare spot here where it just broke the skin. And so whenever I surprise returned to the house, he's like, look. And so anyway, you got to, I hate to say this, you just cannot put all of your trust in anybody, no matter where in the world, especially in Costa Rica. You just have to be very, very careful. Okay. So now David asked a good question.
You should have done webcam check.
Yeah, I should have had a camera there. And if I'd have had a camera, then as long as I had cameras there, he would have known cameras are there, and he wouldn't have disappeared on me for a week at a time, telling me he's there working. David asked, well, how much is a Tico wage cutting grass? The average price for a Tico wage, unskilled labor, there's no skill involved in cutting grass, 1,500 colones. At today's exchange rate, that's about $3 an hour. So it doesn't matter what it is per hour, it's $1,500, 1,500 colones. So at 1,500 colones, you just need to know 1,500 colones, that's the normal wage, pay them 1,500 colones, okay? So there's just so much you need to know, okay? I'm going to go through here and take a look at some of these comments and questions, because Eduardo said something early on that was extremely good, okay? So, Eduardo said that he has some great workers fixing his house over in Guanacaste. Every morning he makes coffee so they can have coffee, hot bread, lunch is on them. Why? Because they're good workers. And soon they're going to start working on the second floor. So, when you have good workers, you want to take care of them. Most of the time, just so that you know, when you work at an employee or a worker on a daily basis, they will normally, now, just so you know, this is the normal situation. Most Ticos will work early, okay? They start early. It's not a problem to have someone starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. But if you got employees coming at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, they're going to bring their breakfast. They're going to bring their lunch. That means if they come at 6 or 7 o'clock, 8:30, they're ready to take a break for breakfast. So you got to give them a break, 30 minutes to eat breakfast. They're going to eat breakfast. All right. Now, this is just day labor, okay? They just come for one day. So I usually don't start mine till 8 o'clock, and they're used to starting early. But I tell them, no, we're not starting till 8 o'clock, because if I want to sleep late, I don't want to hear a stinking weed eater going, no, I'm not a Tico. You work on my property, we start at my time, not at your time. So we start at 8 o'clock doing whatever we're going to do, and that way they've already eaten breakfast, okay? At lunchtime, whether it's 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, they're going to eat lunch, and they will bring their lunch. And I give them a 30-minute lunch. I give them really as long as they want, but normally 30 minutes is plenty of time. We'll take a break, and I'll say we're going to take a break at 12 o'clock, 12:30, eat lunch, okay? And they normally eat lunch. And then they'll work till 4 or 5 o'clock, depending. Some of them don't want to work till 2 o'clock. So just count your hours, but let them know ahead of time. Now, I'm telling you all this because it's important. If you hire them early, there's nothing wrong with that. Give them a 30-minute breakfast. If you hire them for lunch, give them a 30-minute lunch. Why 30 minutes? Because you are going to pay for that lunch. Okay. So for unskilled labor, weed eaters, house cleaning, unskilled labor, you're going to pay them for their lunch, which means, come on, people, $3 if it's 30 minutes for lunch, 30 minutes for breakfast, $3. Now, I have hired skilled laborers, okay? $25 an hour for a backhoe driver, $25 an hour for a dump truck driver, $25 an hour for a compactor or a steamroller. I don't pay for their lunch. Your lunch is on you. Unskilled labor, very cheap labor. You buy lunch, okay? You buy lunch. Don't be Chinchi. Don't be a cheap Charlie. You pay for their lunch, okay? So it's important that you know that. So that's why you let them know ahead of time. Okay, you're going to be here at 8 o'clock. Lunch is going to be from 12 to 12:30. Lunch is going to be from 12:30 to 1. And you eat lunch and you pay them for the whole 8 hours. So if they start at 8, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 o'clock, they get off, unless you let them know ahead of time. So it's very, very important to be clear. I got this one local guy that comes here. I tell the guy to start at 7. He won't show up till 7:30. And then he wants to leave at 2. But he wants to eat lunch for an hour at 1 or at 12. No, you're just stinking lazy. I don't want to hire you. I don't want to work. You can't work for me no more, okay? You've got to make it clear. But if he gets hurt, you better take care of it. So there's a lot of things that you need to understand about hiring people in Costa Rica, okay? And it's kind of like Sarong is saying, have them sign in, sign out, breaks every day, have them initialize each day, put the total you're paying, no exception. 100% right, Sarong, okay? So, it's kind of like in the United States, I used to manage at Home Depot, and everybody that came in, they punched that time clock, and so time clock for breaks, time clocks for lunch, time clock, break. So, so here's where locals will take advantage of you. So, I'm paying a backhoe driver $25 an hour. The guy's supposed to show up at 7 o'clock, don't show up till 7:30, but then he wants to punch his card at 7. Dude, you didn't come in till 7:30. I'm not paying you till 7:30, okay? Come around lunchtime, he wants to take lunch at 12, but then he don't want to he don't get finished till 12:45, and he says he only took a 30. No, you didn't. I sat there with you. They will take advantage of you. Then come 2 o'clock, he wants to take a 2 o'clock afternoon break, which is supposed to be 15 minutes, but he's there for 30 or 45 minutes. Dude, if you let them walk all over you, they will. Okay? So you have to let them know in advance. Okay? When it comes to skilled labor, for example, a backhoe driver, okay, they're going to always charge you transport fee. Okay? I had a guy that lived less than 2 kilometers away, and he charged me transport fee to come to the job site, and transport fee is normally the same hourly rate. So the hourly rate being $25 an hour charged me $25 to transport his backhoe. In other words, drive his backhoe 15 minutes to the job site. No, you're taking advantage of the gringo. You've got to be careful. So you got to know all of this ahead of time to let them know. I'm not paying a transport fee. We're going to work for an entire week, and I'm going to pay you this. So you got to work all this out ahead of time. But if you know this stuff ahead of time, you can avoid the dangers of hiring locals in Costa Rica. Almost every single time, if you hire an indigenous Indian, they're going to work harder than a local Tico. Not always, but there are some Ticos that are hard workers. What about hiring an illegal alien, an illegal migrant? What if there's an illegal Nicaraguan? What should you do? I should not say this. Almost always, if you hire them, you're way better off because they're going to work hard and they're never, ever going to tell on you and say, he didn't pay my car. Why? Because he's illegal. I'm not saying take advantage of it. I'm not saying do something you shouldn't do. I'm telling you, hey, on this channel, we give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Why? I'm not trying to con you into coming to Costa Rica, but you do need to know how to protect yourself and learn all of this stuff so that you can enjoy. Because I'm telling you, I love living in Costa Rica. Man, this can be paradise, but it won't become paradise until you ought to know what I'm about to say, when you can control your environment. When you can control your environment and you learn all of these hacks, when you can learn what to do in this scenario, what to do in that scenario, then you can really, really, wow, man, you can love Costa Rica. You just got to learn the ins and the outs because, hey, I'm not telling you to do anything illegal. I'm just telling you what to do so that you can be careful, okay? So let me look at some of these questions. Hey, good question. Pigs Pig says, what about having an in-job bonus for excellence if they're always on time? You can do that. Don't make it huge, okay? Because here's what I do. I take good care of my employees, and I do that by feeding them. And so here's what you do. This is better than an in-job bonus. When they're on time and, you know, I feed them. So here, when I see they're doing an excellent job at the end of the week, we have a party, you know. So if they've been working all week long, we have us a big party. And what does that mean? It means we might have a bonfire. We have a lot of food. We might grill. We might have some cervezas. We have a big party, okay? And in that way, they're like, hey, man, I can't wait to work for Alan again because you know what? At the end of the week, we're going to have a big party because we've done a great job. And, man, I'm celebrating with them. And, you know, I'm the kind of guy, I'm a clean freak. I don't like to shake nobody's hand, but, man, I give you a fist bump, okay? And, man, so we fist bumping. We having a great job. Great job. You know, I mean, look, I had these two indigenous Indians, and, you know, we dug this septic tank, and I'm down there helping them, and we crawled underneath the house because I needed to put some support blocks underneath there. And when I told that young dude we had to crawl underneath there and pull in bricks, he was like, man, it looks scary underneath there. But when I crawled underneath the house with him, man, all three of us, I got two indigenous Indians and me crawling underneath the house. We're leveling it out. We're jacking it up. We're putting blocks and we're supporting everything. You know, I'm not an entitled gringo. Man, I will get dirty and I will work hard with you. And I've had a lot of Ticos say, that's the hardest working gringo I've ever seen. So I get in there and I work with them, okay? You don't have to, but don't have this entitlement mindset that I'm better than you. I'm paying you. Get down there and get dirty, you know? No. Get down there and work with them, okay? You don't have to. Just don't think you're better than they are, okay? So here's a good question. How much do you pay for a personal assistant who can pay for English to live in or with an older lady? Great question. So in other words, what you're saying, Rick, is what's the full-time pay, okay? So you got someone that's going to be a personal assistant. That is not skilled labor. So 1,500 colones an hour. So I had my guy, Barian, working for me. I paid him $500 a month. $500 a month, okay? $500 a month, that's cheap labor. $500 a month. But that was more than he was making when he was working full-time in a convenience store, okay?
Housing.
Okay. Plus, I gave him housing. Now, what do you mean you gave him housing? Well, you know, we were house sitting all over the place, and all he had to do was stay in my house. I paid all the bills, all the electrical, everything. He just stayed there in my house, lived in my house. He had his own room, took care of the pets. He's supposed to keep the house clean. I would do surprise checks. The house would be nasty, and I'd jump all over his case, okay? So $500 a month. I hope that answers your question, Rick. $500 a month so that he would he had a place to live. And it was a great, great deal, I thought, but he just took advantage of it. But I hope that answers your question, okay?
That was almost
Yeah, now that was 10 years ago. It might go up a little bit, not a whole lot, but anyway. So, now Sarong said at one time she had to keep an employee that was stealing from her for a couple of months because I didn't have the dollars to pay him off. So luckily, I found him stolen and found him stealing again, and we threatened him, and we threatened to turn him in, and he went away. So you got to learn how to play your cards. I'm glad you shared that story, Saron. You got to learn how to play your cards. So the most important thing is if you got employees working for you, have cameras. And if you have cameras, it's not your word against his anymore. Catch him stealing, and then you can say, hey, look at the video I got right here. You were stealing all of this. I'm going to tell the police you're going to jail. Guess what? A lot of your troubles will go away. Here's the important thing. When somebody hurts themselves, take care of them. Go out of your way to take care of them, okay? Take care of them, okay? So, I'm looking at some of these questions real quick here. So it's really, really important to be very, very clear before you hire anybody. Doug says, hey, got to go. Great chat. Thank you, Doug. And already we're over an hour. I don't know where the time goes. Here's the problem. Rebecca, she can't shut up. Just can't shut up. If she would stop and let me talk a little bit, then maybe I'd get everything done. Anyway, so lots of great stuff, so lots of great stuff in here. Sarong want to make it clear, you pay for the lunch, meaning time and or food. Meaning when I pay for lunch, most of the time, if it's just day labor, they always bring their food. I just pay for the time. So I don't buy their lunch, okay? So whenever day labor comes, they got a backpack, and almost always they got their water, their drink, their lunch. And so when it comes time for lunch, I say, hey, 12 o'clock, we're taking lunch. And comes around 12 o'clock, I say, lunchtime, let's break. I sit down with them. I eat my lunch with them. They open up their backpack, they're eating lunch. And look, they're always done in 30 minutes. I mean, come on, 10 minutes. Rebecca's the only person I know that takes a whole hour for lunch. She's enjoying her food. I don't know how to do that. I'm a Marine. Food is fuel. Anyway, Ticos are kind of the same way. In 15 minutes, they're done. So I eat with them. And at 12:30, I'm like, listo? In other words, you're done? We're done. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get back to work. And I'm always very nice and friendly. We get back after it. So I don't ever pay for their food. They bring their food. I always pay for their time. Okay. So if they come super early, 30 minutes for breakfast, 30 minutes for lunch, I pay for their time. They always bring their own food. So I hope that answers your question, Strong. Okay. So lots of great questions in here. Greatly appreciate all the interaction. Look, we are already. Oh, wait a minute. I love this right here. Pig says, have you made that cornbread yet? I'm still looking for that cornbread mix. I'm going to figure it out. Hadn't made that cornbread yet. Send me some cornmeal. We're going to do that. But hey, cameras are crucial. If you have cameras, it makes a huge, huge, huge difference, okay, in everything. So, hey, we're already an hour and 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Hey, folks, greatly, greatly appreciate you. Appreciate you if you make sure to make comments. I don't care if you just say, hi again, love the podcast. Comments, huge, helps tremendously. Okay, share, like, subscribe, and help this channel to grow so that we can help you to learn the unbridled facts about living in Costa Rica. All right, folks, see you next week. Until then, Pura Vida, enjoy paradise in Costa Rica.